Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome our next speaker, Sanjay Joshi with IBM. Please give him a warm welcome.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody enjoying the conference so far? It's been pretty good, right? Yeah, I've had a good time so far. So I'm here today to talk to you about getting the speed of AWS deployments while looking for the flexibility and the control with private workloads and running on your own Kubernetes environment. My background is I'm technical offering manager for IBM Cloud Private. I have been working in the software development field for about 18 years now. I've done everything from cloud native development and other types of big data analytics. And so one of the things I learned throughout my experience is to always set context with customer situations. So I wanted to take this opportunity to do two things. I wanted to thank you for your attention in listening to hear this presentation. And more importantly, I wanted to share a narrative to give you some context on what challenges clients that we see and talk to are looking for. So in this particular case, we had a very large car rental company who was looking to achieve and leverage the scalable and secure AWS platform while at the same time minimizing the disruption of their current existing application or solution that was running on-premise. To do that, they wanted to save money by using AWS's platform while at the same time getting some guidance on their WebSphere application server. How would they modernize it? How would they transform it with minimal disruption? Through that, we were able to actually give them some tooling and you leverage a set of software known as IBM Cloud Private as a platform to be able to show them that journey, give them the modernization and acceleration tooling to achieve both a scalable deployment on AWS while at the same time achieving the privacy and leverage of IBM middleware. With that journey, we were able to, that gave us experience in terms of how to build on AWS and deploy IBM middleware workloads on AWS. That started a genesis, and with that genesis, we began work, and I'm excited to introduce for all of you IBM Cloud Private as a AWS Quickstart. For the first time, AWS developers will be able to deploy solutions and create solutions leveraging IBM middleware on our IBM Cloud Private platform. It gives you a catalog of different software. You get a high availability, high resilient environment to be able, there we go. Got an inadvertent switch. So you're able to essentially get a production-grade deployment. Your developers are going to be able to leverage pipelines, a lot of the existing tooling that they're familiar in their development and operations on AWS, while at the same time be able to fold in IBM middleware into their solutions. Finally, they will be able to also be able to take and port these monolithic applications that might exist in the enterprise in your site today within your data center and be able to slowly transform them into, let's say, a microservices architecture over time. So this porting, this ability to port the application from a monolithic structure into a containerized form factor is the first step on that journey, and that is what this Quick Start will give you. It comes pre-deployed with Transformation Advisor, which is a piece of tooling that embodies all of IBM's app modernization knowledge based on our WebSphere migration toolkit experiences. With that, it'll give you assessments on risk, levels of effort. It gives you information in a way to be able to triage your app modernization flow. You'll see that in the demo in a few seconds. The second part that I'd like to hit on is also that we have, in future work that's going on, a look at other derivative quick starts that might leverage and are based on IBM Cloud Private. IBM Cloud Private for Data is an opinionated platform that focuses more on the data analytics side. You're able to leverage AWS services that stores your data while using some of the technology and some of the tools that are available on IBM Cloud Private for Data's tool set. You're also able to leverage some of its capabilities to integrate with the AI capabilities that AWS provides as well. Along the same journey of helping the developers, we are also within that same Quickstart providing pre-integration with the open service broker that's available so that you have access immediately within the Kubernetes deploy to AWS services. IBM Cloud Private also provides an optional installation of Cloud Foundry. There's many use cases where the opinionated Cloud Foundry development experience appeals to certain use cases and developers. You're able to leverage Cloud Foundry on AWS today. We have an installation experience that's oriented around BOSH. It integrates with our catalog that resides on Cloud Private. And together, you're able to leverage AWS services in both platforms, whether it be on the Kubernetes orchestration side or the Cloud Foundry orchestration side. Finally, IBM's also been focused on the multi-cluster scenario. Multi-cluster is a challenge when you think about your AWS deployments ranging across multiple regions. How do you handle situations of management around the health of individual clusters? How do you deal with the observability of applications running across clusters or even repeatedly within clusters? How do you ensure consistent policy applied across clusters? IBM provides, as a part of our Cloud Private platform, an ability to manage an enterprise-grade management solution for multiple clusters that can span your AWS data centers as well as bridging your own private data centers with AWS data center deployments. And so with that, I want to switch over to the demo side. So what you can see here is the Quickstart deploys a EC2-based set of nodes. These nodes represent a multi-master Kubernetes cluster that is high availability. It spans 2 availability zones, and it leverages all the best practices that AWS would recommend in terms of a deployment. The key thing to realize here is you have access to all of the AWS tools and dashboards, et cetera, to manage this cluster once that Quickstart is instantiated. So there should be no changes in your processes or the way that you would operate. In terms of what you see, here's an example of the overall health of the cluster. You can see in the upper left-hand corner that there's 12 nodes there. Those 12 nodes represent the nodes that comprise this Kubernetes cluster. It's a multi-master setup, so we're talking about 3 master nodes, 3 proxy nodes, and I believe it would be 6 worker nodes that are set up in this environment. If we look over to the left here, you have views of all the different first-class resource types that you would expect within a Kubernetes deployment. However, in addition to that, you also have management capabilities related to pre-installed alerting, logging, metering, monitoring. All of these aspects are available as table stakes as a part of the platform when it's provisioned. Now I wanted to touch on the service brokers. So as you saw earlier, we treat all the Kubernetes resources as first-class citizens. One of them is a registered service broker that you can see here. If I actually click into the service broker, we'll see that we've got fetched the AWS services that are recognized by that project. That is a project that is also open source and continues to evolve, so further additional AWS services will be available. The key thing here is this, again, just comes out of the box as a part of the Quickstart. What this provides your developers with is an opportunity to provision instances of any of these AWS services for their container workload needs, for their app modernization needs. So you can start to see how a legacy monolithic application can start to be decomposed and leverage parts and pieces of other AWS services to complement the actual solution. So as I alluded to earlier, one of the core workloads that we were looking at was Transformation Advisor. Here's an example of Transformation Advisor. Transformation Advisor's primary focus is to ease the burden with which app modernization takes place. When you think about an app modernization task, you have challenges around how do I triage which types of ear files should I tackle first? How do I know whether this particular monolithic application is going to be easy enough to containerize or not? How do I know what the level of effort is? What kind of things do I need to make changes on? Do I have visibility or observability into that? Those are all the areas that Transformation Advisor goes through. When you look at Transformation Advisor, really what you're looking at is an ability to scan, and you'll see here in a second, this is an empty project. This would be the very first step in the journey. You would see a choice to be able to either run a data collector against your legacy environment, or you could upload existing scan data that you've picked up. In both cases, once you've done that, you are provided with a view. Come on. Let's see if I can hop to the next. OK. So as you can see in these views, you've got designations. So based on our knowledge and experience over the years in doing some of these assessments, we've codified that into rules. Those rules are what are leveraged by this Transformation Advisor. When you look at the left, it triages it into simple, moderate, hard as a first swath or cut. The second thing is it gives you deep dive abilities to look at the issues that it is identified. If, for example, it's identified as simple, you actually have a choice here for a migration plan. This migration plan actually generates a bundle for you. This bundle automatically makes those simple changes because they are simple. They could be something as simple as a config that just needs to be updated. It could be as simple as an API version level that just gets revved. But the basic notion here is that within 2 or 3 clicks, you're actually able to get to a deployable bundle that can be deployed as a containerized form factor into a Kubernetes deployment of IBM Cloud Private. So within 3 or 4 steps, the simple apps make their migration, and they're running as a containerized workload. When we look at something that's more complex, we see information related to the rules. We will see information related to the severities. If you recall in the former graph, you saw there were 3 identified high-level things. These are the 3 high-level things. If I, as a developer, want to understand more about those 3 high-level things, I actually have access to an analysis report. This analysis report gives me even greater detail in terms of what was it that it discovered and what is the rule to help me, or at least initiate a starting path for me as a developer to go look and start to address or mitigate the risk that's been identified. So as you can see, Transformation Advisor provides a lot of base information and capabilities to help that initial step in the journey of app modernization. The final part of the demo I'd like to show is the fact that we also have pre-integrations as a part of this Quickstart with both of the storage paradigms. So the elastic file system as well as block storage are both pre-provisioned as dynamic provisioners within the platform. And so as you can tell right here, I have a simple persisted volume. All right. So if we create a resource here, so you can see here it's pending. Once it's pending, it's now provisioned. What I just did was provision some block storage in a couple of seconds. And the representation of that is over here as AWS's block storage. So again, the point is that leveraging the scale of the platform, leveraging the AWS services is an excellent complement to our IBM Cloud Private, IBM middleware app modernization journey, where you have applications that are leveraging IBM middleware and yet at the same time are looking to also be either enhanced through AWS services or benefiting from savings in cost or savings in management and operations for your infrastructure needs. So with that, I think I'm done. Thank you.